Good morning, students. I am pleased to welcome you to this channel. Today, we will study what is literature. In my presentation today, we will study what is literature, that is introduction to literature, classification of literature in general, introduction to English literature. Then we further classify English literature and subdivisions and characteristics of each genre. What is literature? The term literature comes from a Latin word, the Latin language. It traditionally refers to a body of written works. When we talk about literature, traditionally it refers to the works, written works. However, certain forms of literature are passed orally from one generation to another. You can recall how your grandparents narrated stories. Even though many of the stories are not in the written form, such stories or maybe some songs are passed orally from one generation to another. However, because of the advancement of technology, many forms of the literature which were passed orally now have been in printed documents as written forms. Literature refers to the writings with artistic and intellectual merits. You will see a beauty, an art in literature. Literature is one of the fine arts which provides aesthetic pleasure to the readers. It consists of aesthetic beauty as well. So next, we will see the connection between a literature and a society. Literature, a depiction of society. Literature is the mirror of society. A true literature will show its own society as it is. It will reflect its people, their beliefs, perceptions on things, challenges, etc. For example, if you take literature genres that emerged from Sri Lanka in the past, their subjects were war, patriotism, poverty, painful consequences of war, politics, economy, love, sex, etc. The literature mirrored the life of the people in the country at the time when the particular literature piece was produced. For example, I wish to read one of my poems written for Right to Reconcile anthology, Perverted Life. IDP camps. I had heard of them, but was too little to understand. Children can play all the time was what I understood, pleasant enough. But as a man, I was taken to a camp from the Valley after the war, carrying my two little kids, spouse lost. As a gift on that day, they gave me a tent, a very small tent, to share with another family. 3 young women, fair and beautiful, in a husbandless household. A plastic sheet separated us. In need, we all were supporting each other. At a tube well, we lined with cats, waiting 8 hours for our turn. Nights and days, patiently. Common kitchen and bathrooms, common toilets, we quit everywhere, no privacy. But we were all alive. 2 months passed quickly. As a big family, we lived in that small tent. In the absence of my spouse, appetite strengthened. Secretly, I gazed at the women while they were undressing through slits in the partition. Talkative and fair, the second daughter, her interested eyes on me. We went to fetch water, short puffs of breath in the moon shadow, pressing against her. Madly we shared, madly we enjoyed, in empty tents, common toilets, bathrooms, tasting flesh forbidden. Later, my interest transferred to the other 2 women, doing the same things with pleasure. The women were soon pregnant, my kids were helpless, but I could not stop. One evening, I was called to the office. My spouse was there, eager and happy. She hugged me and cried loudly, her eyes searching for our children. The 3 other women, beautiful and fair, lingered in my mind. Now, you can recall the poem, how that particular piece of the particular poem reflects the society after the war. The challenge the people faced, the immorality of the people and the life of the people has been clearly reflected in the poem. So as I discussed earlier, as I mentioned earlier, a true literature mirrors the society. It reflects what the society is. For example, when you take artists and social medias and news reports at present, they speak about political instability of the country, economic crisis, fuel shortage, dollar shortage, marriage, love, sex, education, relationship, nature, etc. So these topics, these subjects reflect the present society of our country. Newspaper as a platform which carries variety forms of literature, carry the subject like political instability, economic crisis, and so on. Through this, you can understand a true literature reflects its own people and the society. Literature takes an integral part of any society. Society and literature are inseparable. Society has been the only subject matter of any literature. Literature plays as a medium of communication too. Literature entertains us. At the same time, general public are largely educated on various subjects through various literature genres. Literature plays other roles too. For example, the articles in the newspapers play various roles. They have been written to inform the readers. They have been written to inform something about to the readers and so on. Then, traditionally, there are three major branches of literature. The divisions of literature. They are poetry, prose, and drama. Prose can be divided further into two sections. They are fiction and non-fiction. Fiction refers to the imaginative stories, while non-fiction refers to the real stories. We will study about them in detail in the following slides. Students study literature and they read literature. There are two phenomena. On one hand, the students study literature. On the other hand, people read literature for their pleasure. The students study literature as a subject in their academic curriculum. You need fundamental knowledge to study literature. This knowledge is gained and improved through systematic practice. For example, you study English literature. You study English literature in your curriculum and you need to improve, or you need to gain and improve systematic knowledge in order to study literature successfully. At the same time, people read literature or the different types of literature genre for pleasure. The knowledge for reading literature for pleasure is acquired naturally in general. You can recall how you read a poem in Tamil language or else in your own language. Even though you did not have any fundamental knowledge or any technical knowledge, you understood the particular piece and you read that for pleasure. Reading literature is enjoyable. At the same time, it is challenging due to the deep indirect meaning supported with many historical, sociological, and autobiographical facts. For example, if you want to clearly understand the poem Big Match 1983, written by the Sri Lankan author Jasmine Gunaratne, you need to be aware of the socio-political conditions that prevailed at the time in the country. Otherwise, you will fail to fully understand the text. Due to the above reasons, students of English literature should be aware of the socio-political scenario of the time when the particular literature genre was produced. In some cases, some literature genres are autobiographical. In that case, we need to be aware of the biographical information of the author to understand the text fully. Religion, culture, economy, and geography also play a role in the construction of literature. One needs to understand them too for proper understanding of such particular literature. Then we will see the classification of literature. We can classify literature based on language, national origin, historical period, genre, and subject matter. When the syllabus is designed, the syllabus designers make sure that the particular syllabus manages to carry the above types as much as possible. For example, when you look at the contents of your syllabus, you can understand it very well. Classification of literature based on language. Examples include Tamil literature, English literature, Sinhala literature, and French literature. What is English literature? English literature includes the text written from and around the world in English language. Though the native speakers of English contributed immensely to the body of English literature at the beginning, later on, speakers of many other languages started writing in English and still provide their contribution. For examples, you can understand to see how Tamil and Sinhala speakers' writings in English have been recognized worldwide. It is true that many Sri Lankans' writings have shaped the notion of English literature in the region. So, English literature is the writings of native and non-native writers. Then the classification of literature based on the national origin. Examples include Sri Lankan literature, Sri Lankan English literature, American literature, British literature, and African literature. There are various literatures which can be identified based on its national origin. Literature can be classified based on the historical period as well. English literature starts from Anglo-Saxon settlers' time. This table clearly explains how English literature has been classified based on the historical periods. If you recall how you studied Tamil literature or Sinhala literature in your school, you can recall how the literature has been classified based on the historical periods. The literature can be classified based on genre, type, or form. They are poetry, prose, and drama. As I mentioned earlier, fiction refers to the imaginative writings, while non-fiction refers to the real writing. For example, short stories and novels, which are based on the author's imagination, comes under fiction, while all the other works based on the real people and the real experiences come under non-fiction writing. Introduction to poems. Poems are written in lines and stanzas. They are not written as sentences and paragraphs. Poems are written using figurative language with imagination, specific tones, and feelings. In some poems, the writer used strict rules like rhyming and meter. Some poems are free-flowing, which do not affect any such rules. For example, when you read this poem, please, Appa, what would you like, little baby, when I return from London? Only you, Appa. Toys or books, which do you like more, Kuchu? All my books are full of pictures of parents telling stories, Appa. When you see this poem, you can understand the poem has been written in line and lines, not as sentences. At the same time, the poem has been written as stanza, in stanza. We do not call it as a paragraph. So through the above examples, you can understand how poems have been written. Examples for types of poems. There are aras, sonnets. It means traditionally 14 lines poems are called sonnets. Ballads, a type of poem which narrates a story. Lyric, a type of poem which expresses personal emotions and feelings of the individual through first-person narration. Or this is a formal ceremonious lyric poem which addresses and celebrates a person, place, object, or a concept, etc. Example for types of poems. Remember, poems can be categorized based on its structure, and in various ways we can categorize a poem, classify a poem. It is based on the the structure as well as on the subject matter. A poem on death or loss, themes are mourning, loss, and reflection. Epic poems are the poems, long narrative poems on the heroic deeds on the characters. And dramatic monologue, this is a poem which is written in the form of a speech. That particular person speaks to himself in these types of poems. Then we will study fiction. Under prose, we can have fiction as a type. Fictions are imaginative stories. These are some examples for fictions. You can take note of it. Some of the stories which refer to traditional stories, which mostly include supernatural and imaginary plots and characters. Some stories may be true and some stories are not true. Then another type, we call it as parable. It is a simple story that has moral and spiritual lessons. For example, examples include the teaching of the Jesus in the gospel. Romance, it is an exciting and mysterious story which has the theme of love. Novel, this is a long story which is usually written in a narrative style with a powerful imagination of the author. Novel is written in chapters in general. Short story refers to a story which is similar to the novel. However, the length of the story is shorter than a novel. Characteristics of fictions. Fictions are imaginative works of the author. However, their imagination may be around real people and events they meet in their life. Unlike in poems, the authors use correct punctuation and grammar in fiction writings, and they are written in sentences and paragraphs. Novel is divided into chapters in general. Examples for non-fictions, fictions, news reports, feature articles, essays, editorials, textbooks, historical works, and biographical works. Characteristics of non-fictions. Non-fictions are written based on the experiences of real people and events. Non-fiction consists of factual information which can be tested and proved. Research articles about some diseases can be taken as an example. They are often written to inform or educate the readers. Knowledge dissemination is one of the main aspects of this type of writings. Drama, as one of the major branches of literature, can be divided traditionally into two sections, tragedy and comedy. Tragedy refers to the sad ending or the main characters of the drama meets death at the end, while comedy refers to the happy ending and the happiness for the main characters. Classification of literature based on subject matter. Literature can be classified based on the subject matter as well. For example, English poems can be categorized as war poems, romantic novels, adventurous stories, historical plays, etc. Then, why do you want to study English literature? Your achievement as an English language learner. How do you improve your language skills? Reading, writing, speaking, listening, vocabulary, etc. Your achievement as a human being. How are your thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and behaviors are shaped? Your achievement as an individual who belongs to a culture. How do you value each aspect in your culture? How do you improve your social skills? Your skills needed for a happy and peaceful life. At the end of this semester, you will have these understandings. You will have a significant achievements of all these areas. In the other video, we will study about literary terms and devices. Thank you.